Today, for the very first time, I'm going to be listening to the debut album from the band The Impliers. This is Cocoon. Hello everybody and welcome back to another album review / reaction here on my channel. If you've never seen a video like this on my channel before, know that basically what I'm going to do is take the CD, put it into my computer, and listen to it all the way from front to back for the very first time, talking over the music pretty consistently while I'm listening for the first time in real time. So you'll be able to hear all my thoughts. Usually what I talk about on my channel are more sort of production-oriented things. I have a degree in audio engineering, and I am very passionate about music production and things like that. And so I like to talk about the different sounds that are being used, maybe some techniques for recording, things like that, why the band chose the different sounds that they did to sort of create the collage of sounds that you're hearing that is the song. So I'll talk about all sorts of production things like that. Don't usually dive into lyrics very often, but we'll see if anything strikes me with this. But yeah, so that's sort of just what to expect. But basically, I'll be talking the whole time over the music. And then after I'm done listening to the album, I will do my sort of review, if you will, at the end, or give my sort of overall thoughts and impressions. So with that being said, you'll notice in the description of the video that I will include timestamps for all the different sections of the video, including I'll talk a little bit about the band up front here, and then each of the different individual tracks from the album, and then also my review at the end. So if you just want to skip to any particular part, or you just want to skip to the very end and just listen to my review, that's totally cool. Whatever you want to do, feel free to skip around. With that being said, I also want to say that I really hope in this video in particular that I'm able to include the actual audio from the album in the video. That is my plan, and that's what I'm going to try to do. However, with my last few videos that I've recorded, there have been copyright issues, and the videos have been blocked in basically just totally blocked in every country around the world. And so I have to re-render those videos and have them with no music in it at all. And I know that that's really frustrating because it's so much easier for you watching the video to be able to hear what I'm hearing. If it is the case, however, that copyright issues stop me from including the actual audio from the album in this video, know that also in the description of the video I'll include a link, and I'll do this regardless, but I'll include a link to purchase the album or to just listen to it on Spotify or whatever you want to listen to the album on. So make sure you do that if you need to. And also, I'm going to talk about the band in a second here, but you definitely want to check out their website and some of their videos and other things on YouTube itself, because they seem like pretty cool, very entertaining guys. So one other thing that I want to mention before I get into anything here is that I'm still in the process of figuring out my setup for all of this. I have my new webcam. This is the fourth actual reaction that I'm filming with this, but the third that I'm filming with these sort of settings. And this is one of the first reactions I've been doing using Streamlabs. And so if you see me look off to the side a little bit here every now and then for an unknown reason, it's because I'm looking at the giant screen of myself over here. Normally in the past, when I would be recording, I would only be able to see myself on a tiny little camcorder screen off in the distance. So just be aware of that, and bear with me on any of the technical things. I have some lights really close to me, so things might be a little blown out if I hold something up, for you to look at, whatever, but just bear with me on all that. So with all that stuff out of the way, I'm so excited to do this reaction. This is the type of reaction that I want to do more of on my channel, but if you aren't aware and you just clicked on this finding a link somewhere or something, like, my channel has like almost no subscribers, very, very small number of subscribers, and my videos very often get very few views. Most of my album reactions like this get between like 30 and 40 reviews, or 30 to 40 views, I should say. The last video that I actually uploaded is my video that has, I think, the most views of any of my reactions, and that was for the Indian metal band Bloodywood and their album Rack Shack. And I really enjoyed that album, and I enjoyed making that video. It was the first one I made with my new camcorder in this setup. And I have almost 900 views on that video, which I know isn't a lot, but for me, that's more than I really ever anticipated getting on any of my album reactions. So I'm very excited about that, and a lot of people commented on that video. I think I have more comments on that video than any of my other videos, with the possible exception of the Evanescence one, because that album from last year, The Bitter Truth, was a little bit of a polarizing album, so people were, I think, a little bit more willing to comment on it. But anyway, I learned a few things from that. I got a few people suggesting that I do certain things in my videos a little differently, so I'm going to try out a few things. For the most part, everything will just be the same. I'll be my awkward self like I always am. But thank you for watching. And now on to the impliers. So like I said, I've wanted to do album reactions like this, but because my channel is so small, it doesn't really make a ton of sense for me to do this, because the impliers are, from everything that I know, just cursorily looking at them online and stuff, they are a very small, brand new band. I believe they're from Denver. There's 2 guys in it, and I believe their music is sort of electronic rock music type thing. And if I had a huge channel, and I had, thousands of people watching every one of my videos, and I had a bunch of subscribers and, people who actually cared about what I said, I would love to find small bands and just be like, here's something that I found, and share it with people, or share with people just in general albums that I love, maybe from the past, things like that. Because I have such a small channel, like I said, Bloodywood is a band that people like to watch reviews of online. So when I did that album reaction, I didn't expect it to get so many views, as many views as it has, but I knew that probably more people would watch that video than, for example, watched my Wallflowers album reaction from last year, which only has 20 views on it at this point, which is insane, because to me, the Wallflowers seem like they're a much bigger band with a much longer lineage than Bloodywood, but Bloodywood fans are the types of people that like to go online and watch reactions, just like I am. And I was really looking forward to listening to both of those albums equally, so it wasn't a big deal for me, and I was happy to do both reactions. At this point, because like I've said now several times, my channel's so small, I just, do whatever I want, and if someone wants to watch it, I feel humbled that they would want to do that. But mostly, I make these videos for myself because I don't really have anyone else to listen to music with. But anyway, I'm falling down a rabbit hole that I wasn't going to try to do. I want to try to keep the intro for this a little shorter. But the band that we're going to be listening to is a band that I think, like I said, they're a very small band called the Impliers. And I've said in videos on my channel here before, I've talked about how I, for the last few years, have been using Facebook to discover new bands. And I basically have my entire Facebook feed curated to just be certain things, lots of wrestling stuff, because I follow WWE and AEW and pro wrestling and stuff. And then friend things, and then also just lots and lots and lots of brand new music. And I get all the ads that I see on Facebook are ads for bands who are releasing new singles or new albums. And I love it. I'll be scrolling through Facebook, and I will see a weird looking album cover or artwork or something, and I will click on it. And if in like 10, 15 seconds, I can get to listening to a sample of a song, and I think that that song is even remotely interesting at all, I just save it on my Spotify playlist, or just save it on my Spotify queue of albums, and I go back later when I have time to like listen to it. And so then towards the end of the year, I'll go through just like hundreds of albums that I've saved over the course of the year to try to see what was interesting enough to keep up with. And I do it several times throughout the year, not just at the end of the year. But anyway, I found the Impliers accidentally doing that. I think this was several months ago. I didn't look up the exact date, but I'm pretty sure it was several months ago. I was scrolling through Facebook, and I saw this ad for an album, but it was a video. And I was like, oh, this is interesting, because if you click a video, usually it's just one click takes you to YouTube or wherever, and you can just listen to the music immediately. So I like those sorts of ads. And I clicked on it, and it took me to YouTube, and it was this incredible, like, sort of fake infomercial for an album. And I liked all of the samples that I was hearing of the songs. I thought that the way that the infomercial was put together was hilarious. I thought it was very well put together, very well made. The video production stuff was really great. All the graphics, everything was done really well. The script writing was even done really well. I was laughing out loud multiple times while I was watching this. And I got about halfway through it, and I thought, this is awesome. I want to hear this album. And so I went on Spotify to look, and they had, I think, maybe 1 or 2 singles out, maybe a few singles, but no album yet. And so usually my rule with that is I either follow the band and look later in the year to see if they have an album out, or I'll follow their page on Facebook. And so in this case, I followed their page on Facebook. And I didn't see anything about them for the last few months. And then just a couple of weeks ago, I saw an ad for a band who was giving away free CDs. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. And so, no, not a few weeks ago. This must have been earlier this week, I'm guessing. I've been super busy the last few weeks with a project of my own, actually, some of my own music. So time has just been really weird for me. But anyway, in the last couple weeks, I saw this ad that this band was giving away CDs, and I thought, oh, that's really interesting. And so I clicked the link, followed it to their website. I saw that they were called the Impliers, and I didn't remember that this was the band that I had seen the infomercial for their album for months ago. And so I was looking at it, and I listened to a couple samples on Spotify, followed it back to Spotify, the same page I assume I was on before. I listened to like the first 5 seconds of a couple songs, and I thought, this is really cool. It sounds incredibly varied. There's electronic music here. There's some rock stuff. The vocals don't sound terrible. They sound pretty awesome, just in the few samples that I heard. And so I thought, this is actually cool. I like this. Let me investigate this more. So I started looking on the band's Facebook page. I looked around their website, and I came to realize that it was the same band that had released that infomercial. I found that on their YouTube page. And so immediately I was like, this is awesome. You know, I had taken this band that I know nothing about, that I saw this infomercial for, and I had like locked it away in a cupboard in my brain to solely, to hopefully find again somewhere online, and to open the cupboard and research this band and look them up and maybe listen to an album. And so here they were trying to give away copies of their album. All you had to do is pay shipping. And so I went on their website, and without really even thinking about it at all, I gave them $1 plus the amount for shipping, and I ordered the album. And so I was like, okay, that's really cool. And so I went and commented on their post on Facebook. I said, hey, I bought a copy of the album. I can't wait for it to come in the mail. And they right away responded to me and were like, hey, that's awesome. Thank you so much for supporting us. And I thought that's really cool. And I had remembered as well that back a couple months ago when I first saw the infomercial, I had made a comment, and it was something very simple, just like, this is a really awesome way to market an album. And within a day, they had responded to that comment saying, thanks, that's really great to get some feedback, and it's nice to know that the creativity is appreciated, or something like that. And so it's cool for me still. Like, I know we live in the digital social media age, and you can just, you know, I did the first reaction I ever did on my channel here, I believe, was for Power Man 5000's album in 2021. I think it was 2020 maybe? In the fall of 2020, I believe, is when Power Man 5000's last album came out. Anyway, Spider went and actually, or one of the Power Man 5000 people went and actually commented on my video, and I was like, this is awesome. And even from a band like this that I didn't know how big they were at the time, that having them respond to me was like really cool. And I was like, this is really awesome. It's really cool, because if I release music out into the world and someone comments on it, I'm going to be the first person there going, thank you so much for listening. You didn't have to, and I really appreciate that you did. So I love it when a band is appreciative of their fans. And of course, when you get to be like this huge band, it's really hard to have interactions like that with fans. You just can't have too many. There's too many people that care about your music. But it seems to me like the Impliers are a very small band. I looked right before filming this video, and they average about a little less than 1,300 listens per month on Spotify. And their album did just come out yesterday as of my filming this, though. They've had singles and things out for a while, but the whole album, Cocoon, just came out yesterday. And I ordered my copy actually on Tuesday of this week, I believe, and it took until Friday, yesterday, to get here. And they shipped it out right away. And so I got it actually on the day that the album came out, which was really cool. And they made a post about the album, and I sent them a picture saying, hey, I got my copy of the album in the mail, and they were like, awesome, can't wait to hear what you think about it. And so this is one of my, at that point, the idea for me was like, I could do a reaction to this. I don't know if anyone will ever watch it. Maybe the two guys from the band are the only people that will ever watch it. If that's the case, I'm so excited you guys are watching it. If you share it to any of your fans that you have, and anybody else is watching this and you understand how I found this band, thank you very much for watching. But if you're watching this and you don't know who the band is at all, I've already said that they've done this cool infomercial, and that I think the music sounds pretty cool. But look at this package that they sent. Like I said, they posted on Facebook that their album was free to anyone who wanted a CD. You just had to pay shipping. And when I went there, you could pay $0 and then just pay I think it was like $4.50 for shipping. And I didn't feel right doing that, so I paid an extra $1. And if I really love this album, I'll feel incredibly guilty, because I probably would have paid, $10 for it, or whatever you would pay for a new album coming out, $14.99 or whatever on Amazon. But so you already know that this band is pretty awesome just from doing a cool, funny infomercial, and the fact that I said I think their music is cool. But they sent me this package, and it's a regular envelope on the front. I don't want to show my address on there, but it's a regular envelope on the front, and on the back, these are like their custom envelopes. And I think that's cool, first of all. And I open this, so this is an unboxing, but of course, here's the album. which is really, it's interesting, cool looking, very professional. And then there is this handwritten note, which I'll read in a second. There is an implier sticker. So there you can see their symbol is obviously this this like sort of eye looking thing. I really love it when a band has an identity with their artwork and with a physical identity as well as just like a musical identity. And so this kind of stuff is really cool. This is how you market a brand new band. I don't know if they're just the ones behind everything. It kind of sounds like they are, but this is like brilliant. This is totally brilliant marketing. And then also there's one more thing in this package. This is really cool. It's this little The Impliers pin. Just a regular pin. And I just think that that is so cool. That is such good marketing. So this handwritten note here, this is so awesome. I can't tell you how awesome I think that this is. This says, thanks for the support, Patrick. Hope things are awesome in Nebraska. Because obviously they knew where they were shipping this to, so they said, hope things are awesome in Nebraska. And that is so awesome. I worked at a store that sold records, movies, video games, novelty items, and books for many years. And for several years, I ran the shipping. So every morning before the store would open, I would have to go out and collect a lot of items and then ship them throughout the day. And I always wanted, it was against our company policy, it was for Hastings Entertainment, which is no longer a store anymore, unfortunately. Rest in peace, Hastings. It was the greatest place on earth. But I always wanted to include little handwritten notes and things. And the only handwritten note I ever included in anything that I shipped from the store was I shipped a guitar, a rock band. What was it exactly? It was a rock band guitar stand or set of drumsticks or something to do with the game Rock Band, and it was to someone courtesy of Mike Shinoda. So it was, I assume, Mike Shinoda's like manager or something, but regardless, I included like a handwritten note like, wow, this is awesome, Linkin Park's one of my favorite bands, blah blah blah, and I'm sure they threw it away right away. You know, it's totally probably suspect, but like I said, this is just really cool. This to me is how you market a band and you make a connection with the fans. When you're a small band, you make a connection with fans. Those people will support you forever. And this is the way to do that. I absolutely love this. And like I've already said multiple times, the infomercial that they made was so clever. Here, I'll actually play a clip of it right now in this video for you. Hopefully that's okay.
Do you ever want to tear your headphones off and say to yourself, there's got to be a better way? Well, there is now, with the Impliers. For the first time ever on one album, an exclusive collection of 13 original songs to help you restore your enthusiasm for music. Not only have you never heard these songs, but you've never heard them this way before.
So you can see there, that looks like a regular infomercial. And I think, like I said, the production on it is great. I think the script writing is very funny. And I think that the samples of all the songs made it sound like, oh, I need to take notice of this. And so that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing this reaction. I really hope that this album is really good and that I really like it and that some people watch this video, or maybe if one person would watch this, even if I send this video to like my cousin or something, and he enjoys this band, whoops, hold on, I gotta change that, and he enjoys this band, then to me it's totally worth it. Basically, I'm just excited to listen to this album for the first time, and I thought it'd be fun to share it with anybody who ever watches this video. So that is what we're going to do. I did want to look real quick while I have it pulled up here. The Impliers website, again, you should check it out. Their website looks great. Their Facebook page looks, I assume all their social media is great. I, however, do not have Instagram and I do not have Twitter, so I do not do either of those things. I really only use Facebook, and like I've said, I mainly use that for chatting in groups and stuff about specific things and for finding music. It's like a great tool for that, believe it or not. That's how I ended up with this. But I wanted to read this because I thought it was interesting. About the new album, it says, available now, alt-indie psychedelic duo The Impliers, which, by the way, Impliers, I've only ever seen it written with lowercase letters. So shout out to the Eels and shout out to the Impliers for having an interesting lowercase font for all of their stuff. At least dealing with their logo and their name. So it says, available now, alt-indie psychedelic duo The Impliers' full-length debut record, Cocoon, is a fearlessly honest, introspective concept album with topics ranging from mental illness and relationships to mortality that draws comparisons to Tame Impala, Radiohead, Bowie, and Nine Inch Nails. So if we break that down a little bit, fearlessly honest, introspective concept album. That all sounds really cool to me. Topics ranging from mental illness and relationships to mortality. That all sounds okay to me as well. Like I said earlier, I'm not really a lyric guy, so we'll see if any of the lyrics, catch my attention. That draws inspiration from Tame Impala, Radiohead, Bowie, and Nine Inch Nails. So anything that has Nine Inch Nails as a reference tells me that sonically I'll probably find it interesting. Radiohead is a band that I don't know very much about, and I don't really care for any of the stuff of theirs that I've heard. However, I think if I did look into them, I would probably be a fan. Tame Impala, I've only heard one of their albums, and I didn't think that it was mixed very well, and I didn't care for it as much. However, I liked the grooviness of it, and I liked the feel of it, but I thought that the kick drum and the bass were way too loud. Basically, the whole album was just a kick drum. It was great. It was interesting. And David Bowie is someone that I've tried to get into a little bit, but never really did get into it. I've really only tried out his more recent, well, not recent, but his more modern music. I've obviously heard Major Tom, and I know some of his other sort of like classic stuff, but I have never really gotten into that side of Bowie at all, this stuff from the 70s or whenever that was hugely popular. And I don't really know that much about David Bowie. He's someone that I'm kind of just saving to learn about when I get to that stage in my life where I feel like I would be compatible with David Bowie music. I don't know. So those bands don't really necessarily excite me too much, except for the Nine Inch Nails. But all the samples that I was hearing in that infomercial, one of the things that excited me the most was all the songs sounded pretty different. And that's one of the things that I love about music, especially albums that are when a band takes the time to create an album, and to have every song feel like there was just as much work put into it as every other song. And I love it when a band their sound is such that you never know what to expect. And again, this is all me basing all of these thoughts off of just hearing 5 seconds of a few of their songs and then those little clips from the first half of that infomercial. So I could be talking nonsense now. Maybe the whole album is going to be terrible, but I really hope that's not the case. But I'm expecting the album, just from the little samples that I've heard, to be incredibly varied. I'm expecting there to be different sounds. I'm expecting there to be lots of electronic stuff based on the samples that I've heard, and that makes me excited. Like I said, I heard them doing multiple things cool things with the vocals, having vocals, spread out over the stereo spectrum. Everything sounded like it was high fidelity quality recording. Love all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to all of those things. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to listen to it. So let's get into it. I'm going to put the CD, which, by the way, I got to say, the artwork is really interesting. I don't know if these are actual, hold on, I got to change this so I can see what I'm doing when I'm holding stuff up. I don't know if this is a cocoon here, or on the back if these are 3 different cocoons. They honestly kind of to me look like sponges or something that were used to the point of you need to throw the sponges away. I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't know if my camera's going to focus on it that close. But anyway, the artwork is interesting. The disc, I gotta say, I opened the disc and it's just this sort of pretty generic disc. Gotta say, not super impressed with the disc artwork, but hey, I understand that probably 90% of the people who listen to this, hold on, mic's a little close, 90% of the people who listen to this probably are not going to be listening to it on CD format, even though that's probably the highest quality audio that they could listen to, unless they got, FLAC files off the internet. Anyway, don't need to get into that. The booklet, the liner notes, there is none. It's just a single page. All it says on the back, and I should have said this right away at the beginning, all it says is, written, performed, and recorded by the Impliers, who are Dan Hartman and Charles Ingram. produced by Dan Hartman, mixed by Mario Borgata. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Mastered by Carlo Camera, or it looks like the word camera, so but I'm assuming Carlo Camera. Again, I apologize. Cover artwork and photography by Dan Hartman. And I said these guys are from Denver. So one last thing before we get into this album real quick. Look on my table right here. I'll be back with you in a second. So, of course, I needed to get a drink for this video, and so I got one of my absolute favorites, Mountain Dew Voltage, my favorite beverage of all time. And I'm excited. So if you are going to listen along with me to this whole album, grab a drink, grab a snack, as Natalie Gold would say, and let's get into this. Now, I have to mention, my headphones are such that I have an extra cable hooked up here so that and this cable is a cheap cable I ordered from Amazon, but it actually reverses the stereo image. So if I'm not thinking about it, which usually I do a pretty good job, but if I'm not thinking about it and something is on the left side of the stereo image and I say that it's on the right, know that my stereo image is just a little bit reversed from what you're listening. It is reversed from what you're listening to, but I'm usually pretty good about that. So all right, let's go ahead and get into this. The Impliers. Now, I did notice on here, they said it's some sort of a concept album, and I also want to just say real quick, the infomercial was really funny, and a lot of the stuff I've seen online for them seems to be like a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I am hoping that the music is a little bit serious, at least from a music perspective. Although I do enjoy like sort of comedy, funny stuff every now and then too, especially if it's funny in a musical way. But I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that some of this is a little bit more serious. But on the back here, you can see that there's 3 sections here. It's 3, 4, and 5 of sections. I don't know what happened to 1 or 2. If maybe they released those as separate EPs. I didn't see those on their page. I don't know if maybe it's just a joke to start at 3. I have no idea. Maybe it's some really deep thing that I don't understand. That's definitely a possibility. But, all right, let's just start with track 1, Bad Bad Man. Okay, it's starting out really quiet, so I'm not sure exactly how loud to have it set. Ooh, too loud. Okay, lots of low frequencies. Ooh, love the little tinkly stuff off to the side. Sounds like some palm muted guitar or a really interesting sounding synth. Okay, multiple vocal layers going on here, vocal overdubs, spread very wide. Also, there's some acoustic guitar, strumming acoustic guitar in there. Vocals sound really good. Kick is just an electronic kick, 4 to the floor. Snare sounds like an electronic snare. I'm getting a little bit of like a Damon Albarn feel for the lead vocals, which is really nice. I love the Gorillaz and Damon Albarn and Blur. He's actually one of my musical idols, so it's kind of fun to hear a little bit of that. Definitely those vocal harmonies there off to the side. That's very Blur. That bass sounds fantastic as well. I'm pretty sure it's a real bass. A lot of definition to it. It's not this big muddy woofy thing. Almost all the low end is coming from the massive kick, but it sounds really good. It's spread very wide. It sounds like there's several things happening, spread far left, far right. Okay, the guitar there overdubbed. Actually, I'll just keep that up. Ooh, a little guitar solo, guitar lead there, panned. Ooh, love that synth bass there. That sounds like Muse. Wow. There's like a chaoticness to everything that's happening, and because the mix is spread so wide, it's almost hard to choose where to focus. But then the song contains itself and goes, and everything, the chaoticness goes away. Much easier to understand what's going on. And I think the chaotic nature that I'm talking about is definitely an intentional thing. I definitely hear some sidechain compression going on there as well with the synths, the pulsating synths. Love that lead guitar. It almost sounds like very stereo, very spread wide, that guitar, the electric guitar. It doesn't sound like two different takes. It's like overdubs. It sounds like one take. Possibly the guitar amp or the cabinet had multiple mics on it, maybe placed different distances away, and you pan one right, one far left, and it's the same sound source, so it still sounds like one thing that's wide, rather than having, recording a guitar part and then doubling the guitar part and panning it. That gives a much different feel than panning the same source, the same exact guitar performance, recorded with two different mics panned wide. Very different effect, and I'm hearing that, I think. Okay, now that sounds like it might be acoustic guitar plugged direct in and strummed. There's also some really cool distorted synths in there. I love this. This is a nice long song. I can see that the total length of the album is 52 minutes, so bravo. 13 songs, that's great. In the year of like nine song albums, it's nice to have a 13 track, 52 minute long album. That's great. Okay, that's track 1. Okay, track 2. Ooh. Oh, I love that. That sort of that pitched sound changing with the reverb on it. That was very Depeche Mode. Okay, the mix again still sounds very wide, so I'm assuming that's what we're going to kind of have throughout this whole album. I would say this song, it sounds like real drums here, but I'm not positive. I would say it's probably a real drum kit though. Very over-compressed drums, over-compressed in the good way. Very compressed drums, sounds great. Bass guitar in the same place, basically doing just quarter notes with the kick drum. Oh, there's a really cool synth in there. Really like that. I assume that's sort of the chorus. Just can't get over how incredibly wide it sounds. I know I've mentioned that now many times, but it's almost too wide. Like, how does it sound so wide? I wonder if a lot of that was mastering or what. I mean, it just sounds like... It sounds like the bass and the drums are in the middle. The bass, the snare, the kick are in the middle. And then everything else is just super spread. A little bit of Modest Mouser in the guitar. Da-da-da-da-da-da. There's that oompa, oompa, oompa alternating octave synth line in there. Very cool. If those aren't real drums, I love the way it sounds. There's room tone to them, which makes it sound very realistic. I'm sure that it's real, though. I'm not sure, but probably real. Ooh, vocoder. Also just spread impossibly wide. Like not a trace of it in the middle. Ooh, there's vocal flying across the spectrum. Yeah, nice. The song has a nice driving feel. The electric guitars, definitely I feel like the driving force of the song, along with obviously the kick and the bass. Love the background vocals. There's just some ahs in the back that are kind of going along with the vocal melody there. That was really nice. Really nice. Very wide though. I would say almost too wide. It's very strange. Love this. This is Long Live the Quitter. Whoa. Okay, now the vocal right in the middle. Love it. That synth bass is great. Love the breathing in the song. That's very cool. Ooh, that slow attack synth in there. Very cool. So tasty. And then, of course, just a little shaker going. A shaker or a kabasa type thing. Love the delay there at the end, the last word. Think, keep. When I listen to songs a lot, what I kind of picture in my head the Pro Tools session. Now, I don't know if this is edited on Pro Tools or not, but Pro Tools is what I've used for the last 15 years. Basically the same version of Pro Tools 2, version 7. But anyway, I picture like the Pro Tools session, the different tracks, the different effects they have on different tracks. And that's always fun for me. I know it doesn't do any good to explain that to you, but it's a visual that I have in my head when I'm listening to something, especially the first time when I'm trying to wrap my head around what's going on. There's a lot of effects on the vocals constantly all the time. And again, I feel like that's a little Gorillaz, Damon Albarn, especially more recent Gorillaz. I love this. This is great. This is almost kind of chill. Ooh, it's nice vocal manipulation there. Pitch shifting and stuff. More vocoder stuff, I feel, in the background vocals. Oh, that's cool. That little stutter. And then there's guitars in there too as well, which is really neat. To find a way to organically have the guitars in there and have it sound natural with all this sort of other electronic sound sources. Wow, that was cool. That was my favorite song so far, for sure. Okay, we just got some nice synth pads here. Okay, the finger snap is panning a little. But the reverb on the finger snap is staying in the same place. Whoa, totally different.
This is what it looks like.
Wow.
This is when things break down.
This is awesome.
This is what it feels feels like.
I love that voice. If that's a different person or the main singer's voice pitch shifted or just him singing way lower, that's awesome. Love the little tinkling stuff going on there. This is reminding me a little bit of one of my absolute favorite bands called Hurts from England, Hurts. If you're unfamiliar with them, look them up. Their first 4 albums are, in my opinion, 100% perfection. Their most recent and 5th album, I feel, is their weakest album, but it was made during COVID, and I think it's just a little bit in a direction that's not necessarily for me. But anyway, please look up their first album or their second album. Ooh, that slide guitar. Or that sliding on the guitar. Interesting. I'm hearing so many things, it's hard to even keep up with it. The vocals especially, multi-tracked, spread wide with different effects on the different things, possibly even some tracked with 2 microphones as well and then panned, or having the same exact signal spread wide with a different sound, different EQs, different distortion, all sorts of different things on it. The guitars as well. I feel like overall the whole thing is spread too wide though, which is a weird thing. I don't know if I've ever encountered that before, which is why I think it's almost like a mastering thing, but this song and the song before this I think sounded better than the first one because it's the less chaotic in nature though, but this just sounds fantastic. My cousin lives in Denver. I'll have to see if they go to concerts all the time. I'll have to see if they ever saw this band in person. It'd be really cool. Probably talk to her and she'll be like, "Oh yeah, I know those guys." That'd be pretty crazy. This is great. I love the chill feel here. The guitar going on there, very nice, very tasty. And there's multiple layers of guitars as well. Oh, that song felt like it could have been a little longer, but that was great. Lightning, okay. Okay, more vocoder stuff. I believe in looking that this song was uploaded to their YouTube page 8 months ago, so this is probably like their first song that they finished in their sort of single. See, it's cool that juxtaposition of all the crazy layering of vocals and vocoders, and then to just have like these like Congo bongo things in the middle. Okay, that's a really prominent reverb there on the lead vocal. And just having that on there automatically gives the song a bit more of an 80s feel to it. Okay, there. Oh man, it's so interesting what they're doing. Now they got some palm muted guitars in there. Yeah, and it would be fascinating to see the sessions for these songs. See this vocal right in the middle with the crazy, not crazy, but the very prominent reverb. Whoa! Some totally dry vocals in there with all the other vocals around it. I think I hear distorted guitar, but possibly not. There's lots of synths, layers. There's there's layers of low register vocals in there as well, and that's just thickening everything up really nicely. This is fantastic. What the heck? Turned off my screensaver and it's still shut it off. think it's distorted synths. I think it's big synths and not guitar. I mean, there's guitar in there as well. Whoa. Whoa. Wow, really cool guitar solo here. Really unique sounding. Man, the landscape changes so much in these songs. Wow. Now there's acoustic guitars. Nice vocal harmonies here, really sticking out. That almost could have been a key change there, but I don't think so. Nice feeling of building here. Wow. Wow.
Such a relief to clean the screen.
Such a relief to cleanse the lens and to clean the screen. Clever.
Turn a stone that's never been turned.
It almost sounds like someone's dropping something off to the side or jingling keys or something. Oh, now it's on the other side. It's on both sides.
As quick as we like it. To be where we all want to be. It doesn't happen as quick as we'd like it.
What an interesting song. What an interesting song. Very cool. Very cool. Really enjoyed that one a lot. Falling. There's just so much gorillas here. So much. I wish the gorillas would be more like this. The guitar playing is really nice. Lots of overdubs. Like octave playing. Interesting swooshing. Oh, I love that guitar tone. You know, they posted, I think yesterday, one of the things they posted about the album coming out was that they had specifically put effort into making the songs feel cohesive yet stand alone. And immediately that jumped out to me as like, you know, bravo. Because so many bands just create songs and throw them together to make an album, and this sounds like they made this group of songs to go together. Oh. I love all the stops. The stops, the dramatic stops, the pauses. Interesting. Oh, that's such a weird. It's like almost unsettling. I love it. I hear no bass in this at all, just the drums. And the guitar's off to the sides. There's bass. Love that. The higher pitched vocals in the back. Tell me that I'll be alright. I think it's doubled too with a guitar or something. I wonder what this would sound like in a car. Or on anything other than headphones. Love those pauses. They've done it several times too, in the other songs as well. Sorry, there's a hair on the mic. The vocal bends, so cool. Not easy to do. Just the fact that everything is like, I assume doubled. Like I hear that guitar part, but then it's also off to the side, but like an octave higher. And I think it's a doubled part rather than, or like an overdubbed part rather than just taking that same part, panning it, pitch shifting it. Kick snares sound great. Didn't really notice any cymbals in that song. I'm sure they were there. They were going, whoa. Okay, hallucinating nightly. The mixing of the guitars with these synths is just so interesting. Love the guitar, the drums. Every song, the drums have been great. Ooh, this song sounds much dreamier. That just constantly ringing cymbal. And it's like a halftime beat as well. A little bit more that crazy reverb on the guitar. A little twangy. Wow. And that synth, that stabbing synth, it's like the same exact frequency range as the vocals. So they like blend there really nicely. There's reverb on everything pretty much. But it doesn't sound too drenched or wet. It's still, you can still clearly define everything. It's not muddy or soupy at all. And the guitars, as always, are just going. Sometimes I'm not really paying attention to them that much, but what they're doing is always interesting, and it's so complementary to all the other things that are happening, no matter how chaotic it is. A lot of melodies like being done in multiple things. So it's like layering of the same melody with multiple instruments, including the vocals. This is nice. Just repeating the same thing over and over, driving it home. Yes. Wow. That vocal. Ooh. It's like a low, some sort of like a low gruff. Love it. He used to take the highway, but now this man is flying. He's about to leave his body. Oh, I love this. Hallucinating nightly, hallucinating nightly, hallucinating nightly, hallucinating nightly. Because I love you till I cannot see anymore. Because I love you till I cannot see. Gosh, there's just so much to listen to. love stuff like this where it's just driving the point home. One of my favorite bands of all time, Archive, from England, have made a career on 7-minute songs just repeating the same thing over and over to the point where the words change meaning over time. Love this. Wow. Those distorted drums. Even that has interesting, weird stereo image on it. And then just those nice, sort of calming guitar parts, multiple guitar parts. Nice, nice. Every song has been really good. Okay. Whoa. What is that? That's like that metallic sounding cymbal thing, like rah, rah. It sounds like almost like a time shifted thing, or like a time stretched element with some reverb on it, or like a reverse reverb. Wow. Definitely some 9 Inch Nails here. Love the harsh synth there. And then the nice pitch, I think pitch shifted or just high frequency vocals off to the side. Nice melody as well. It's weird to say, but I'm almost getting like a little Michael Jackson out of this, which is very strange. Not any song in particular. Wow.
Entirely in privacy, no one knows society. Silently.
My elbow hurts, damn it, and I can't set it down like this. Again, more doubled guitar. This is awesome. Some of these sounds are just so massive. And like I've said every song a billion times, the wideness of the stereo image is almost unsettling. How wide everything sounds. Wow, that guitar is so cool. If it's guitar, it could be I'm pretty sure it's a guitar because you could hear like the humanness of it. I love this. This is dark. This is cool. This is probably my favorite song on the album. There's Depeche Mode in this. There's Depeche Mode in this. Gosh. Wow. All right, we're still going. There's definitely 80s influence in interesting ways here. And this song has a bit more of like a gothic-y feel to it. Definitely there's a darkness to this, but there's also like a bounciness to the chorus. Whoa. I mean, there's like a darkness to this. It's also reminding me of, again, one of my all-time favorite bands, And One from Germany. The synth bass here, this massive wide synth bass. There's like EBM to this, but then there's almost like KMFDM, like sounding gang vocals here. Oh, just masterful, really. This is so good. This band should be, it's cliche to say like big or whatever, but like this band deserves any love they get. This is so impressive. Wow. Now that I said And One, that is what I'm getting. Wow. That like vocoder vocal thing. Such a low sound. Oh, the vocal layering on this is so good. Oh, more breathing. Oh, that. This is awesome! That massive bass sound, too. Oh. Oh, God, those pitch-shifted vocals. It's like a monster. Yeah, I was gonna put the pin on, but nah. It deserves a spot. Can you see it even? There's the pin. This is amazing. Oh, and a nice dry synth. Love it. Gonna go back to the chorus again. I love songs that have patience, that allow themselves to be the length that they should be. That whop, 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 that sort of like reverse high-pitched thing in there, that was really interesting. That's distorted bass guitar there. Incredible. Oh my God, incredible. Oh my gosh, and there's 4 songs to go. Holy cow. This is Ouroboros, which Ouroboros with the U is the name of a During Grey album, I believe, or one of their songs. I can hear it in my head. Robbers. I don't know what that means. Probably should know what that means. Okay, this is totally a different feel right now. Sounds like some real drums. You got some nice cymbals in there at least. Ooh, piano. I think that's the first time we've heard like real sounding piano on the album. Beautiful. Oh, hold on. I see this track is only 1:27. It's probably an instrumental. There's the guitars. Sounds like 3 guitar parts. Ooh, what is that? Sounds like someone palm-muting guitars. Oh, just holding the strings basically and plucking a string. Very interesting. Very cool. Fantastic piano playing. I'd be interested to know if that was a real piano or not. Okay, Only the Lonely. Love it. Oh.
I see my mistakes and I'm ashamed.
Nice low register vocal. Ooh.
Nobody told me anything.
Little strummed acoustic guitar.
Tried to fix it.
Here comes some vocoders. Love it. The subtlety, really nice.
They're gonna disown me anyway.
Nice. The vocals sound fantastic. Massive, right in the middle.
Far too much to take.
Wow. Wow, and that synth in the back, the little
It's been a long
high pass filter going up and down there, low pass filter. Great singing.
view is hurtful from behind the wall. And I can't seem to
Wow.
face myself
Piano.
anymore.
Wow.
No, I can't see your faces anymore.
Sonically totally different.
Only the lonely know my name.
Nice.
Well, let me hear your voices once again. Slowly and slowly.
Nice. This is awesome. I'm surprised this isn't the last track. That's very interesting. And I see the next track is 2 minutes and 44 seconds, and the last track is 6:22. So I kind of hope that that's like a full 6 minutes and 22 seconds, and not like a 3-minute song and then like 2 minutes of silence, then a minute of something. But whatever it is that's, you know, whatever it is cool. The album's already been worth it in my opinion, but I really wanted to finish strong. But this is great. A lot of tasty, subtle things happening here. And I'm sure if I was paying attention to the lyrics, it'd be like really nice.
Far to throw it all away. And I won't let my face turn red anymore. And I won't flee or escape myself anymore.
Love all the layering. Really nice, really nice.
Only know my pain
And the singing is fantastic.
is when I know when I begin to change. Only the lonely know the way. Watches the old me down the drain. Slowly, slowly.
Lots of strummed acoustic guitar. I don't hear any snare in there, just the toms, I think. And then we have 3 takes of the acoustic guitar. Love it, love it, love the build. That was great. Really cool. Okay, alright, a little bit more.
Washes the old me down the drain. Slowly, slowly starts to change.
Really nice. I like the ending there too. That was really cool. All right, this is Salience. Salience.
I was not ready for this. Because there's no way to prepare for it.
Sample here of some spoken word.
I was scared at first, but it was so strange. I was trying to kind of hang on to reality a little bit, but then it's like treading water, where you keep swim up the top, and then eventually you just like sink down. It's like the last and final shock you'll ever have. This all goes so quick.
It's very cool. This is the very serious vibe here. I love it. And those sort of background things, little dissonance in there.
I like got a big epiphany kind of thing after that, where it was like this physical bodies are just a little spark in time that just happens, and then it's gone. All of this, what we believe is our life and reality, we're only seeing a little
Sorry
piece of
about
it.
that. I had Facebook opened.
Family or parents. Or,
I assume you heard that.
or
Sorry.
friends, like that's just.
So there's a little spoken word thing here going on. I'm not a big fan of spoken word in songs, but this isn't a song. This seems to be like a little interlude thing here before the last track. So
Like
that's
none
cool.
of this is permanent,
You know, I was questioning on the last track
but
why that wasn't the last track, and so now I don't know, but now I'm really excited for Leave the Light On, which is the last track here.
spent more time
Coming up in
with
40
my family
seconds.
and, but it's too late, like I wish I hadn't have busted my ass to just so I could have this car. But I wish I would have. God, holy, this is actually happening. Don't leave until I'm gone,
Wow.
because I'm going soon.
Wow. Awesome. Very powerful. Okay. Acoustic guitar sounds really nice.
Is there more than what we see here? Is there more than to this being? Is there more left when we leave here? What's the moral? What's the meaning? When it's time for goodbyes, it's time to say
Really interesting vocal treatment there.
time to close your eyes for now. Is this a nightmare?
Kind of chopping off the breaths a little bit.
I'll be right there. It's not the real thing. It's alarming. It's misleading. It's just a warning. Nothing to see here. And it's time to say goodnight. It's time for goodbye. rise, but you kindly turn the light off before you go. When the winds of my condition come to blow.
My God, can it get any bigger before whatever happens is going to happen?
Anybody know? Will anyone care? Will they silently deny?
Yes, it can. It is continuing to do so.
When it's my time to go, will anyone be there? I'm tired of the pity, tired and derelict.
Oh, I want this to just explode.
Back, it's fine to go. Where's everyone going?
Bass comes in.
Them to stay. Can
And then just the wave of the in the background. Yeah. A little bit of a Western feel. Stuff building again. And then that release. That sort of gong sounding almost cymbal in there. Very cool. And then it sounds like infinite delay toward a sort of guitar thing going on, but could be a guitar part. Now that, I believe, is some synth pads, distorted synth pads. Or synths, slow attack synths. Slow transient. Almost has the effect of like a siren or something almost. Okay, we're back to the beginning. Okay. Oh. Oh my gosh. The dissonance. I thought it was going to be like a more positive ending, but oh my goodness. Goodness. Oh, and in context with the rest of the album, this is just so striking, so heavy. I mean, this is so metal. Wow. What a note to leave the album on. Dang. Is that it? It's just going to fade out and... I think so. We got 12 seconds. Hold on. I don't think there'll be anything else, but just in case there's a little "I told you so" or something at the end. No. Wow. Dang. Oh. Dang. Whew. What a journey that was. Holy cow. Okay. Whew. Whew. If you skip to the end of this just to see if I liked it or not, first of all, loved it. But you need to go back and listen to this if you haven't heard it yet. Holy cow. Oh, there was so much there. Well, okay, first I want to say the last 3 tracks, very different from the rest of the album. I almost wish there would have been... like those were very experimental, very slow, very progressive, and I almost wish there would have been a little bit more of that sprinkled throughout the rest of the album. I'm not sure exactly how, like the last 3 tracks and then Ouroboros was only, so I think, so the last 4 tracks, we have the instrumental piano track, then we have the ballad, then we have the spoken word, the very heartfelt, maybe not heartfelt, the very heavy, meaningful spoken word track, and then we have this last thing, this amazing giant building ending on this crazy dissonance that sounds like, the bowels of hell have opened and just the chord progression of hell is coming out. It was incredible. So those 4 tracks were really interesting, and I almost wish that there would have been more things like that spread out throughout the album to make the whole thing feel more like, not necessarily more like that, but to have 1 or 2 tracks amongst all of the other sort of like, oh gosh, I need to go back and listen to it again, because I feel like it's split into 3, 4, and 5 sections, and I feel like part 3, which is tracks 1 through 5, were the sort of like, I was bobbing and weaving to it, and there was a little bit more chaos at the beginning, and then I feel like I liked tracks like 3, 4, 5 a little better. But then 6, 7, 8, 9, I feel like were darker. They got kind of progressively darker as they went, and that's when the and one, for me, the and one sort of comparisons came in there. And it felt more Nine Inch Nails, more Gravity Kills, more maybe even a little Stabbing Westward or something in there. And I loved part 4 the most, for sure. So it really did feel like 3 separate parts. And so that, I think that was definitely the intention. But the part 5 was so different compared to the first 2 parts. I almost wish that they all kind of would have been mixed up together a little bit. And I know you can't have the tracks 10 through 13 in any order other than what they were in, because that's what gives them the most impact. But it would have been neat to have maybe a slow ballad or a more minimalistic song in the middle of the other tracks a little bit, to give the album a bit more of a this rather than a this, and then ending on an interesting different note. But that's just, me. That's just like nitpicking or something. But man, this album was fantastic. Every sound used was incredible, was done perfectly. The vocal layering was insane. A lot of the songs, I mentioned it multiple times while I was listening there, a lot of the songs felt like they were spread too wide. And I've only ever experienced that before. I sat in on a couple mastering sessions once, and I remember like hearing something before and then listening to it afterwards and thinking to myself, and even asking the mastering engineer, like, how do you make it sound so wide? And he was talking to me about different plugins and different pieces of equipment that he has, and spatial imager things, and I thought, oh, that's really interesting. And a few times in my life, I've tried to get some better headphones than these that I have. And these are my favorite headphones I've ever used in my life. And they're not any fancy thing at all. They're actually a gaming headset made by Turtle Beach. Quite old, actually. They're P12s. And they are the best sounding headphones I've ever tried, and I have used Sony's Audio-Technicas. I used some really nice Sennheiser ones that we had at the studio I used to work at in Omaha, Nebraska. I've used much more expensive and more how do I want to say it? More universally like thought of as being better, I guess, than the Turtle Beach ones. And when I use the Audio-Technica headphones, I remember listening to something I was really familiar with, and it just felt too wide to me. And I remember thinking, that's really weird, I think I like a tighter stereo spectrum, and then you can use the outsides for like effects or making something sound huge. But to have things constantly, the entire song, live on the very outside edges, it made the whole mixes of some of the songs, it made the mixes feel very cluttered. And I mentioned in that very first track the chaotic nature of it. And I think that was definitely intentional. However, I don't know how they got the stereo spectrum to feel so wide. If it was just a case of having things only on that side, but there was a lot of like room reverb. Like I could imagine that there were several auxiliary bus tracks with like this crazy room reverb on it. And if you pan something all the way, I guess if you don't know some of the things I'm talking about here, there's different ways to add reverb or to make something sound like it's existing in a space, like a big hall or something like that, even if it was recorded very dry. And a lot of times when you're recording something, you try to record it as dry as possible, and then knowing artificially after the fact in post-editing, you can try to add reverb to it. You can make something sound like it was in a big hall, but it's very, very hard to take a big hall out of something and to make it sound more close and intimate. So one of the ways you can do that is to just have a track, and then wherever you pan the track, you put reverb on it, and it sounds like it's in a cave off to the right, or it sounds like it's in a cave off to the left, or it sounds like it's in a cave right in the middle of the stereo spectrum. But what these guys were doing a lot with a lot of the different effects and sounds, I could tell, was they have a bus track basically that has the reverb effect on it. And then what you do is you send the dry signal that you have on your different tracks in a session. If you think like, here's the drums, here's the bass, here's the guitar, here's the other track of guitar, here's the vocals. You can take the guitar and you can pan it all the way to the left so that it is now sounds like it's over here, but you can send it to that bus, and then that bus essentially acts like a room, and you can hear the origin of the source, the sound source, off to where you panned it, but the effect, the reverb effect, is coming from the middle. So it sounds like the source is coming from off to the side, but you're hearing reverb that's in the middle. It's a stereo reverb. It's essentially in the middle and then spreads out, like blooms out. And that's very common. Almost everything you hear has effects like that on it. And so when you do that, one of the reasons you would do that is so that if you do have something off to the far side, if everything was just completely dry, your ears would be like, oh, I don't know what to listen to. It's too much. So when you add reverb and you add effects that are like room effects that sort of ground something in the space, the stereo spectrum, it helps your ear to think, okay, there's something over here, there's something over here. They're completely spread apart, and they're completely different things, but they are existing in the same space because there's this same effect on them. So hopefully that makes sense. And there was a lot of that happening. However, I feel like it just still felt like there were things happening way over here and things happening way over here. And my ear was just like, how? Like it was so far apart, I couldn't bring it all together and see the full picture, if that makes sense. And I almost wonder if that was a mastering thing. You know, they had these songs done, they sent them to the mastering guy, and the mastering guy was like, oh, this is amazing. I get to work with this very wide stereo spectrum. He put his regular things that he would normally use on music like this on there, spread it wide and everything. And then it was almost too much of a thing. Like literally the only negative I could say about this, and it would only affect people listening on headphones, is that the stereo spectrum I feel in some of the songs was too wide. And maybe that was also driven by the fact that there, during some of those parts where I was talking about it feeling like that, there wasn't really a vocal in the middle that was really prominent and like the lead vocal. There were wide vocals happening, and there were effects that were, because you can also take a mono signal, like my microphone right here. Maybe I'll do it in the session and try to show this and explain this. But you can take this signal, my mono signal, so it's just one signal, and you can pan that wherever you want in the stereo spectrum, right? But you can put a delay on it that's within the fusion zone, which is generally considered to be 21 milliseconds and under. So I can take this signal, and I pan it all the way to the right. And then I add a delay to that signal and pan that delay all the way to the left. And as long as I keep the amount of delay, if it's a 100% delay, if you keep that delay within the fusion zone, 21 milliseconds or less, it still sounds like the same source. If you get above 21 milliseconds, and around there, it depends on the source of the sound. But if you get above that, then you start to hear the you can hear the delay or the echo. But if you keep it below that, it fuses into one sound that's just spread very wide. And that effect was all over this. There was huge, massive things that felt like they were over here and over here at the same time. But what happens when you do that is it doesn't really leave much information in the middle. And so in those few songs that I was talking, I'm going way on too long about this, but this is one of the things that was exciting me about listening to this. I was thinking, like, how am I going to explain some of this? And I'm not even saying this all in like a negative thing. This is sort of like more of an opinion thing. Like, I feel like with what I was listening to this album on, I feel like the stereo spectrum was too wide, but I could have listened to it on different headphones, on any set of speakers that weren't headphones, and it may not have bothered me at all. And someone might listen to that and love it because it is so wide. But there was all sorts of things on the outsides, and then in the middle there was always the kick and the snare, for the most part, the kick and the snare, the drums, if you will, and the bass. And then if there was a lead vocal there, I felt like it was easier for my brain to be like, okay, there's the middle and everything else is background. But there were times where it was like, oh, I'm supposed to be listening over here, but I'm also supposed to be listening over here. And it was so far apart, I couldn't bring all of it together to see the whole picture. So that's that. I think all of the drums sounded fantastic across the board. I don't know if there was a single... Well, actually, I'm pretty sure that on a lot of the songs, there was like a real drum kit played. Now, whether it was an actual drum kit recorded with mics, or if it was like an electronic drum kit with really nice samples, I don't know. It could have also all have been programmed, though. If it was all programmed, it was programmed very tastefully. And I, for the record, I have nothing against any of that. I'm working on a whole album right now, and all of the drums are programmed with a mouse. I click all the notes and put them exactly where they go. And a lot of people really don't like that, but sometimes you don't have access to a drummer. But anyway, the drums were fantastic across the board. The electronic drums were fantastic. The only thing I will say is, no, and this isn't even a negative, it's just a stylistic thing. All the drums sounded like... The electronic drums sounded like electronic drums. They didn't sound like 80s drums at all. And I kind of almost was expecting a few moments where it could have gone a little bit more like synth wavy, which is like throwback 80s sort of drum sounds. And the songs may have actually benefited from that a little bit, but that wasn't really the sound that they were going for. They were going for their sound, which is much more of like a Nine Inch Nails, like I said, Gravity Kills, Stabbing Westward. Maybe not Stabbing Westward so much, but also like a bit of an And One feel too. But And One is a good example of a band that does use those 80s sounding drums. If you like 4 on here, like Section 4, and you don't know who And One is, go look them up. So the bands that I mentioned throughout there were to go listen to were Hertz and One. And I mentioned a lot the part 3, the tracks 1 through 5. I heard Damon Albarn and Gorillaz all over that. All over it. And I really liked that. The editing of this was masterful. Like I said when I was listening to it, I would love to see the session files because I'm sure they are insane. So many things happening. And I can relate to and understand how much work went into this. And it was a lot. I can tell you that a lot of effort went into the editing and the mixing of this. A lot. Some bands can go into the studio and they perform the song, and then the song gets mixed, and that's it. Other people, electronic musicians, you sit down with your laptop and you craft a song in the studio. That's why a lot of electronic musicians or people who work by themselves on their own music take longer, and it's more about crafting the song like painting a painting, rather than filming a perfectly executed scene of a movie or something, if that makes sense. A band goes into the studio, performs the song, they capture it, then it gets mixed and sounds fantastic. But when you're painting that painting and you're trying to see every section individually, and you're trying to craft as you're recording, it's a whole different skill set. And this, to me, there's no way this was done that first way. This was created, this was crafted in the studio, and it was masterfully done. The different sounds that were used, there was so much dissonance and so many different sounds that were juxtaposing what everything else was doing in the song, which created this contrasting sounds, which was really nice. But then there was also so many layers of harmonied vocals, whether that was all just created using Melodyne or Autotune or programs like that, where you can sing a line and then pitch shift it and add little percentages of human element to it. However that was created, there were so many layers of things going on. There were lots of layers of synths as well that were really meshing with the vocals to create this big sound. But at no point did it really ever feel like, I've coined the term here on my channel, the mid-range soup. So much music nowadays is just drums and vocals. Pop music is like Billie Eilish and stuff. And Billie Eilish, her stuff sounds fantastic, so that's maybe not a good example. But more of the minimalistic sort of dark pop music is just kick, snare, maybe some hi-hats, and then the vocal. And if there's pitch shifted vocals, those are always there, present. And then everything else is just this sort of mid-range soup in the background. It's just this constant thing in the background, and there's not a lot of definition to it or anything. And at no point on this album did I really feel that. I felt like everything was put where it was put intentionally, and nothing was like a gathering of frequencies in a negative way, if that makes sense. I feel like the bass was great. Anytime there was real bass, and I'm pretty sure that it was actually real played bass, it sounded fantastic. There was a lot of bass that I heard that wasn't, the point of the bass was to be in there to thicken it a little bit, but it wasn't necessarily there to give that woofy big bass feeling, the low end feeling. The low end in a lot of those cases is coming from synth basses or just synths in general, and then the kick. Because the kicks were a lot of synthetic kicks, and they were these nice fat round sounding kicks, or these really crazy sub-frequency kicks. And so you don't need a bass guitar putting more subsonic bass frequencies into the mix. Instead, they were using the bass, the higher frequencies of the bass, the sounds of the strings, and actually having the bass be an instrument and not just this low end contributor to the mixes. And so that was fantastic. The guitar playing across the board, fantastic. I don't recall at any point hearing just chugging power chords ever. And also there wasn't a ton of strumming. There was acoustic strums, and I will say that didn't sound necessarily the best to me. But for 90% of it, the guitars were just arpeggiated broken chord guitar parts, or just single line guitar parts. But when you have multiple single line guitar parts all doing things that work together, it sounds like 5 or 6 people playing the guitar. And so that can be chaotic sounding, but it also just added to the thickening of the songs in a way that didn't make it feel muddy. So the guitar playing was fantastic. The big synths, the distorted synths, the harsh synths, fantastic. It added the heaviness. That's where the heaviness came from, and it was fantastic whenever that happened. The vocals, I've already mentioned a little bit, all the crazy background vocals. The layering of the vocals was insane. The vocal harmonies were really nice. There were so many parts that reminded me of the Gorillaz, or specifically parts that Damon Albarn would do. And one of the great things about Damon Albarn is that he's very loose with his vocal harmonies and everything. And he is a fantastic musician and a brilliant musician, and he knows what he's doing, and he's intentionally having a loose feeling to things. And I think the same could be said here. There was like a looseness to everything, not because so much of the song was this like regimented, structured electronic feeling thing. Even though it never felt robotic, it always felt structured and contained within itself. But then the vocals were nice and loose, and a lot of the cases, a lot of the times they were just like this massive wall of sound. But there were a lot of moments where I was specifically pointing out the Gorillas of the Blur influence in there that I really felt like the looseness was contributing to give the songs more of a human feel rather than having it feel robotic. So that was great. It sounded like there were multiple people singing, so I would assume that both Dan Hartman and Charles Ingram both sang. They both did fantastic jobs. If it was just one person doing lead the whole time, and on those several songs where it was just like a lower register voice, just the person singing in a lower register, they did fantastic. All the vocals were great, I think, across the board. I do think that some of the chaotic nature of everything came from maybe having a bit too many vocals in there during times. And I've already talked about the stereo spectrum, and I think that's what created this sort of confusion for me. And I've talked about that twice now, about how I couldn't bring the stereo spectrum in and get a clear picture. And I think a lot of that had to do with the vocals as well. So that's one, I guess, note I have on the vocals. I think the lead vocals were all done really well. That the ballad at the end, Only the Lonely, fantastic singing. You could really tell that the guy was trying to sing his heart out, and I think did a fantastic job. I think the last track was just insane. The oohs and ahs or whatever on the back, the sides. I mentioned at the beginning, I was like, can this get any bigger? And yes, it did get bigger. And then it got even bigger, and then it got even bigger, and then it calmed down. And then it got big again, and then it calmed down. And then, like I said, the gates of hell opened, and just the hell chords came out, and it was just, I loved that. So, gosh, overall, this was fantastic. Just absolutely, I am floored. I'm floored by how fantastic this was. I don't know how much money was spent on this, and I don't know how many people are going to hear this, and I don't know how big this band is ever going to get. I know it's cliche to say that this band deserves to be big, but like this sounds better sonically to me than the new Black Keys album I heard this year, which I think has so many production issues on it. I think it sounds way better than the most recent Diablo Swing Orchestra album that I reviewed here on my channel last year, and has just the most insane, stupid production decisions ever. Like, this sounds better than some of the biggest bands on the planet's most recent albums. And there's no reason, we all know this in today's, I'm making an album myself. We all know this. The most unimpressive, like, schmuck in the world can make a decent sounding album. And so it shouldn't be a surprise when a small, relatively unknown band at this point that I'm recording this, and I apologize, I don't mean to offend them by saying that, but like a relatively unknown band can release an album that sounds so utterly fantastic, is still amazing to me, even though we all know that someone in their closet can make, a Grammy award-winning sounding album. But this it hits a level that I didn't expect it to hit at all. And I was so impressed on every single front at all. And I just want to say, I was going to say this at the beginning, but I didn't. Even though they responded to me and stuff like that in some of the comments, like, I did not tell them that I was going to film this video, and I do not know these people at all. So don't think that like I'm, secretly friends with them, or that I talked to them about doing this, or that they asked me to do this. They don't know I had a channel or anything like that. They only ever replied to me on a comment on Facebook, just saying like, thanks for commenting in the first place and saying you bought our album for free, so there's no strings attached to this at all. Like, I genuinely love this album. The two songs that made me think of And One are like, these are up there for some of the songs of the year that I've heard, in my opinion. And you can look back on my channel to see the other stuff that I've heard this year, including some of my favorite bands of all time, like The Birthday Massacre, And on my channel here, coming up very soon, I also have Soilwork to listen to, which is one of my favorite metal bands from way back from when I was even in high school. There's going to be a new Editors album called EBM that I'm super excited for. There's going to be a new In Flames album. There's going to be a new Muse album that comes out next Friday as of recording this. So, like, there's so much good stuff, and even everything that I've already listened to this year, including a band that I would compare to this maybe a tiny little bit that I just discovered this year called Joywave. Really cool sort of alternative pop band. Not very much like this at all, really, but that album, one of my favorite albums of the year, and I would say this is just as good as that for the most part. Like, I would not be surprised if this album ends up on my top 12 favorite albums of the year list, which I make every year on this channel. You can go back and watch my top 12 albums of the decade when I went through and sort of discussed my top 12 albums of the year for every year from 2020 to, or from 2010 to 2020. And so I've been doing this now for 12 years, making my top 12 albums of the year, and I would not be shocked if this ended up on my list, even with all the fantastic music that has come out this year. That's how fantastic I think it is. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I'm so glad I recorded this. I really hope that I'm able to post this with the music. Dan Hartman and Charles Ingram, if you ever see this video, thank you very much for making such an incredible album. Thank you for giving it to me for $1 plus shipping. And thank you for the handwritten note and the pin and the sticker. And thank you for making such an interesting internet presence to the point where I decided to make this video, because I just feel so good about this. I hope anybody that watches this video becomes a fan. I don't see how anyone could not watch this video and or not listen to this album and become a fan, because I am. This is awesome. I mean, this album just came out yesterday, and I'm already finding myself like, oh gosh, if these guys get better and they release more albums in the future, I can't even imagine what that would sound like. So, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. This album is fantastic. So, bravo. Thank you for sharing your music with the world. And yeah, I'll leave it there. Share this with somebody that you think might like it. Share it with someone you think might not like it, because as I said, how could you listen to this album and not become a fan? Spread the love of the Impliers. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.